Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 18, which is entitled as Sannyasa Yoga. Sloka 14 and 15, Part 10. Adhiṣṭhānaṁ tathā kartā karaṇaṁ ca pṛthag-vidham vividhāś pṛthak ceṣṭā daivaṁ caivātra pañcamam śarīra-vāṅ-manobhir karma prārabhate naraḥ nyāyyaṁ viparītaṁ pañcaite tasya hetavaḥ. The place of action, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the Supersoul. These are the 5 factors of action. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors. In the previous session, we understood that the Lord is expecting something from us so that He can sanction and the action can proceed. That expectation is nothing but the karma of the living entity, the jivatma. Based on the karma and vasanas, a jivatma makes certain choices, and the choices that's been made are approved, sanctioned by the Lord. And further, the Lord makes things happen through the individual self. Based on this, there was a question raised that, that makes sense based on my current life. Whatever I did few years back, I am getting a reaction for that one. But what about the very first time when I was born? On what basis I have been created in certain condition? Why all the babies that are born are not the same? Why there are so many differences? Now let's see the answer for that. The differences, to understand the differences among various entities, we certainly have to go to previous birth, the previous life, where we can find the answer. Going to previous life, previous birth doesn't mean literally. What it means to, the answers for this is present in the previous life. Of course, we don't have access to the previous life. We are not those special souls, the great sages, who have the capacity to understand what went in the previous life. This is a very important teachings of our Sanatana Dharma. The teachings of previous existence of previous life is not present in other religion. The other religion teaches that life is one time. You get a body and then you die. Or some religion says because of someone else's bad deeds, we are all suffering. None of these things are teachings of our Sanatana Dharma. We don't suffer for others' deeds. Neither the Lord does not create us just like that, without a cause. Therefore, we have born previously and we have done some activities which created karma, and that's what I'm going through in this current life. For those actions that we created in our previous life, they could be a good activity or a bad activity. One must experience and exercise them. No one can escape from that karmas. One may ask a question, why is that what I did in last life, I need to suffer in this life? Why can't it be happening in the same life so that I am aware of my mistakes? Therefore, I don't commit them again. Well, there are certain karmas which will take time to rectify, and there are certain karmas which rectifies really fast. For example, if you sow a seed of mustard, we get the plant within few days. But if we sow a seed of coconut tree, then it takes years to get the fruit of it. Likewise, certain karma activity that we do, we get immediate reaction. For certain things, it may take many years within that lifetime, and for certain karmas, it may take a next lifetime. Therefore, it is not necessary that the reaction of our activity should be rewarded in the same lifetime. We like to share a story that we heard. After the battle was over in Kurukshetra and everything was settled, Dhritarashtra happened to meet Krishna and he asked a question. Why am I have to suffer like this terribly? I was born as a blind man and I have to see my children, 100 of them, die while I am still living. Krishna smilingly said, My dear uncle, 50 lifetimes back, you were an hunter. One day, while hunting, you happened to see 100 baby birds in a nest with a mother bird. You blinded the mother bird and you killed all the 100 baby birds. Therefore, you are suffering now. Dhritarashtra asked Krishna, that doesn't make sense. I have done this 50 lifetimes back. Why am I supposed to suffer now? It would have been much meaningful if I suffered in that same lifetime as an hunter. Krishna in response said, My dear uncle, to get one child, one son, one must do certain karmas and gain good karma. In your case, it took 50 lifetimes to complete and gain 100 children. Now you got 100 sons, and the bad karma you did 50 lifetimes back became effective now. So it is not that we suffer because of our immediate previous birth. Our suffering or our enjoyment could be carried or could be the reaction of our karma that we did many lifetime back. So the life is not one time, the life is not two time. We have gone through several lifetimes. That raises another question. If I must suffer for the past karma, then my karmas must be carried to subsequent birth. But the body is made into ashes after I die. Then how does the karma get carried to my next life? The answer is the karma travels along with the jivatma as a complete package to the next destination, to the next birth. Therefore, when we hear that what did we came with when we took birth, what are we going to take with us after we die? It's nothing. It's not the right statement, and that is not the essence of Gita either. We always carry our karma for sure. So now one may think that so therefore everything is happening because of my karma and the Lord is not in picture. Well, the karma is there, but the Lord is the one who expecting our karma will make things happen by giving respective birth. Therefore, the creation of the Lord is based on the karma of the individual, not on his own choice. He doesn't decide himself, you be ugly, you be rich, you be poor, you suffer with disease, you have a good life. He doesn't make choices on his own. He is expecting that through our karma, and then he performs respective creation action. So our suffering or enjoyment is based on our previous life. If the previous life is the cause of my suffering and enjoyment in this life, what is the cause of my previous birth? where I must have gone through some enjoyment and suffering? The answer is the birth before that. What about that life? It is based on a life before that. But there should be a point where we were all got created for the first time. In the case of Dhritarashtra, why he was born as hunter 50 lifetime back when he was created for the first time, when he took birth for the first time. At that time, on what basis did the Lord create all of us? Some are born as animal, some as birds, some as insects, reptiles, aquatics, some are human, some are devata. Within that we see rich man, poor man, educated, uneducated. How did he, the Lord, decide to create for the first time? The answer is, there is no first time creation. It is not that we are born at one particular time, the first time, and then subsequent birth took place. The creation and we taking several birth has been going through without a starting point, without a trace. It is anadi. It doesn't have a start. If we agree to the theory that we are being created for the first time, then it means Atma did not exist prior to the creation. If that is the case, then Atma cannot be said to be eternal. Whereas Bhagavad Gita very clearly says Atma is eternal. Likewise the other Vedic scriptures. We know very well that Atma is eternal through the scriptures and never ever was created, never ever will die. The first time creation concept can be only accepted if Atmas are created for the first time. That means Atma cannot be eternal, and which is not what the scripture says. There are only two places that the Atma can reside. One, in this material world called Lila Vibhuti. Two, in the spiritual called Nitya Vibhuti. If the Atmas present in the Nitya Vibhuti, the spiritual world, then they are categorized as liberated souls. If the Atmas are in the Lila Vibhuti, that is material world, then the Jivatmas are classified as conditioned souls. Conditioned souls means one who still has their karma baggage. Liberated souls means one who is completely free from their karma baggage. Those who has karma are conditioned and they are in the material world, Lila Vibhuti. And as the scripture says, tathā vidhvān punya pāpa vidhūya niranjana paramam samyam upaiti. When the punya and papa karma are completely burnt into ashes without any remains, then that person attains the spiritual world, Nitya Vibhuti, where he never returns into this world. That means if we are in this material world, we should be having our karmas. If we are having our karmas, then we have to take birth. If we are taking birth, that means we are still having karmas. Therefore, Atma is anadi, doesn't have a start point, like created on one particular day. Our births are also anadi, meaning it was not on one particular time we took birth. And the cause of our birth, which is karma, is also anadi. Also one more point, the achit, the material world that keeps coming and going, created and destroyed frequently, is also anadi. We cannot trace back saying on one particular time the Lord for the first time created the universe. That is not the case either. So Atma anadi, birth anadi, karma anadi. The material world is also Anadi. Plus, the Supreme Lord is also Anadi. Therefore, the logic, the theory of karma and birth took place on one particular day doesn't make sense. As we learnt, Anadi means that which does not have a starting time, day. It's been existing without any start point. There are two theories. One is Asat-Karyavāda, second one is Sat-Karyavāda. Asat-Karyavāda is where that which gets created from non-existing thing. That is, this school of thoughts says that the effect happens without a cause, which is not even accepted by the science. Whereas Sat-Karyavāda is that which gets created from an existing thing. There's a cause, therefore there's an effect. So the cause is our karma, by which the Lord creates the Jivatma. When we say creates, it is not the Jivatma, the soul is getting created for the first time. The Jivatma, the soul, exists all the time, as we already saw many times on this topic. It is a body that has been given to the Jivatma. Therefore, for the simplicity, it is said Jivatma is being created. But actually it is not the Jivatma. The Jivatma comes into existence by taking a body. That's all. After creation, our actions gets triggered. That is also done by the Lord Himself, based on the Jivatma, Punya and Papa Karma from the previous births. So therefore, the Lord is of no fault. He does based on the effort of the Jivatma. Now let's understand a little bit more about the free will in our next session. Thank you. Namaste. Hare Krishna.